So next we can watch this one, the greatest story in racing. Is this NASCAR? Oh wait, is this Earnhardt? It's the black number 3, right? Oh, okay, it's about Earnhardt. I mean, I could watch it, but I've watched the Implement video about it, which is like twice as long, so I probably already know everything. Yeah, I probably kind of already know everything. Even though I don't watch NASCAR, yeah, I really like the story of Earnhardt and, the tragic ending. So, I mean, you tell me, I can watch it if you want, but I probably kind of already know everything, yeah? Yeah, probably. Yeah. In the same way, Implement had this video about like the flying cars, I guess, which I'd also watched. History of the potato. Okay. Potato. Ex-potato. Don't play. Oh wait, it's an hour. It's too long. Sorry. 30 minutes max. 30 minutes max. So by this team after then it's okay. Then I'll watch it. Good. Okay, so yeah, The Greatest Story in Racing by AE Production.
The date is October 15th, 2000. We're at the Talladega Superspeedway for race 30 of 34 on the season, the Winston 500. After his win in the previous week, Bobby Labonte holds a 252-point lead over second place with only a handful of races to go. They're already preemptively etching his name on the championship trophy, but looming in third is the man who won this race a year ago, and the one in the spring, and the one 5 years before that, and another one, and another one, and another one.
Such a cool guy.
9 wins total, to be exact. A track record that almost triples the runner-up. This guy must be pretty good, right? You have no idea.
Slides it sideways and Earnhardt holds him off to win the race.
The Intimidator. That's a cool name too.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
Dale Earnhardt, in my opinion, is the single greatest stock car driver in history, though the reasons may not be immediately clear. He has only the 8th most number of wins and is tied with 2 others for the most championships. He didn't have the dominance of Petty, the youth of Gordon, or the consistency of Johnson, so what makes him so special? Well, I could rattle off numbers all the livelong day, but in the case of Earnhardt, I don't need a...
I mean, he's kind of like an anime character, right? He never gave up. Like, over 20 years or something of, never winning that one race that he wanted to win. Literally like anime belief of never give up. That's the best thing.
Stat sheet to make my case. To understand why Dale is so revered by the NASCAR faithful, all you have to do is watch. Watch him send his car through the dirt when he has nowhere else to go. Watch him clean the outside of his windshield while still driving the car. Watch him slide sideways through the grass at over 150 miles per hour and still hang on to the lead. Watch him set a track record with a broken collarbone. Watch him flip on the backstretch at Daytona, get out, get back in, and still finish the race. Watch him get penalized and held a lap by NASCAR, only to charge through the field and take the lead less than 40 laps later. And watch him charge from 14th to 1st in just 2 laps. That's really damn impressive, but somehow, some way, on this day, he's about to one-up all of them. Despite starting in 20th, Earnhardt finds his way to the front quickly and stays there for most of the day. But after some handling issues and an unfortunately timed caution, he found himself in 18th position with just 5 laps to go.
Oof.
With the field mostly single file and pinned to the grass, most drivers in this moment would concede. But as we've seen before, that grass has nothing on the man in black, who would, in my opinion, make the greatest drive of his entire career. He would spend the first lap following his adversary Jeff Gordon, clipping the grass to try and find a way by. The next lap, a rookie Matt Kenseth would do the same, but goes too far, turning his race car into a lawnmower. And as he holds up the Rainbow 24, the black number 3 would scoot by in the middle lane and breach the top 10. 3 to go. At this point, the television cameras are already fixed on Earnhardt. He may not be running the show just yet, but they've all watched him long enough to know he's about to steal the show. As the field fans out into 1, Earnhardt follows John Andretti in the Petty 43 until they get around to the front stretch, where all he sees is open air.
Okay.
2 to go. As the outside lane forms, the impossible looks likely, and as Dale motions for Kenny Wallace to give him a push, it looks inevitable. Not his championship rival, not his teammate, hell, not even his own son could stop him or even slow him down. And just like that, he had done it. 17 passes in 3 minutes. People like to say that he went from 18th to 1st in just 5 laps, but screw that last lap, he didn't even need it. And as it had so many times before, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet would lead the field to the line, and Dale Earnhardt, in his 22nd season, would win his record-extending, legacy-solidifying, mind-boggling 10th Talladega race.
It was wild. I didn't have any thought that I'd have a chance of winning this race, starting where I did on a restart.
Have you ever won the Winston $1 Million bonus before?
It's the first time I've won it. I've been eligible several times, so be good going to Vegas now with $1 million in my pocket, huh?
Now $1 million richer and one spot away from the championship, Dale managed to hang on for a runner-up points finish at season's end. It had been a long time since his last championship, but showings like these reminded everyone just how great he always was. Never was there a time when Earnhardt wasn't in his prime, and heading into 2001, his team owner, Richard Childress, exuded more confidence than ever before, saying that even at age 49, he was as poised as ever to win it all. The ensuing offseason would see some shakeups. Bill Elliott was back in the 9, Gordon had switched from Rainbows to Flames, and DEI, Dale Earnhardt's team, would expand from 2 Cup Series cars to 3, adding the number 15 Napa Chevrolet of Michael Waltrip. The Waltrip name had been synonymous with success, as his brother Darrell, who had retired after the previous season, notched 84 wins and 3 championships, one of the most successful resumes of any driver in any era. On the other hand, Michael's career hadn't been quite as fruitful, bouncing from mid-pack team to mid-pack team, never really finding his footing anywhere he went. He had collected a fair amount of trophies in the Busch Series and even managed to slide by Earnhardt to win the '96 Winston. But as far as collecting a points-paying Winston Cup win, he just couldn't do it. Now, to be fair, Darrell had set the bar pretty high for the Waltrip family with his accomplishments and his records, but after the
It's always like that in sports, right? Like someone who is in the same family as a very legendary person, the amount of pressure for them to do great is always there, you know? It's really a lot.
2000 season, Michael claimed a record of his own. He had started in the most NASCAR Cup races without collecting a single win. Ouch. Now almost in his 40s, Mike knew that nobody else would ever get that many chances to lose again, and time was running out for him to make his own contribution to the family legacy. But being friends with Dale Earnhardt has its perks, and Dale felt that Michael still had what it took to win, and so he gave him one more shot, one more chance to finally bring it home. The date is February.
I mean, how do you even think that, you know, like, not to be mean, but the guy, like, lost 400 something. How do you even think this guy has a chance to win? Yeah.
18th, 2001, the kickoff of the NASCAR season, the 43rd running of the Daytona 500. Unlike the other 42, however, this one would see the arrival of a new broadcast partner, Fox Sports, who would begin their over 2-decade run with Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and fresh off the racetrack, Darrell Waltrip. Before the race, the analysts make their picks. Tony Stewart, Sterling Marlin, 2 for Dale Jarrett, 2 for Rusty Wallace, and 2 for Dale Earnhardt. But Jeff Hammond makes an interesting pick.
I'm going with number 15, Mikey Waltrip. I'm telling you right now, I like what I've seen so far from him. I think he's got his head screwed on right. I know he's motivated. And believe me, he's got a man who can motivate you, and his owner.
I mean, if you bet on him, you're going to win a lot.
Unbeknownst to him, that's exactly what Dale was doing behind the scenes.
The plan was simple. He said, me and you and Dale Jr. are going to work together and win this race. Thought sounds great, but it doesn't sound very realistic. There's 40 other cars that are going to try to be messing that whole plan up.
With Big E starting 6th, Junior starting 7th, and Mikey starting back in 19th, bringing Dale's plan to fruition would not be easy. But by the latter half of the race, they've all collectively made it clear. They have the class of the field. With 30 to go, all 3 Dale Earnhardt Incorporated cars and Dale himself were leading the way. But 2 minutes later,
It's the big one. It's what we.
It's really interesting about NASCAR, like this system of, you know, sometimes you have multiple cars of the same team in the race, and they're basically doing co-op, right, against everybody else, and maybe they decide, like, this one is gonna win, so, you know, out of 3 cars, you have 2 that just try to mess with the others to give more of a chance to the one they want to win. It's kind of interesting. I mean, yeah, just very unique, maybe.
All been fearing this kind of racing is going to happen.
in a harrowing pileup on the backstretch, Tony Stewart's number 20 went flailing through the air, hit at 3 different angles by 3 different cars before eventually coming to a stop. The 18-car crash warranted a red flag for cleanup, giving the drivers a chance to park next to each other on the front stretch.
We pulled to a stop on the front straightaway, and I'll be darned, I looked in my mirror and I was leading the race. Dale and Dale Jr. were right behind me.
I remember him coming on there, and I can't remember if it's before or as soon as the wreck happened or during the red flag, but he said, Richard, if they don't do something to these cars, it's going to end up killing somebody.
After the final round of pit stops, the green flag waves once again, and the 15, 8, and
I mean, wasn't there already like a ton of deaths over the years?
3 once again set the tone. The only one who could seem to hold a candle to them was the 40 of Sterling Marlin, but Dale shoves Mikey right up the middle, and all 3 of them eventually find their way by. The pack forms an outside lane to challenge the tandem, but it doesn't go anywhere. If any of them want to win this race, they're going to need that bottom lane. But Dale's there, and he ain't budging. In fact, for the first and only time in his career, he wasn't going for the lead. He wasn't even going for second. Dale played defense, blocking ferociously to ensure that his cars and his drivers couldn't be reached. Meanwhile, at the front, Michael continues to lead. As they take the white flag, Darrell, brother of the leader and close friend of the Earnhardts, nervously calls the final moments of the race.
Make that back straightaway wide, buddy. Get all over the place. Don't let them run up on you. Come on, man. Come on now. Watch your mirror. Watch it. You're going to make a run inside. Block him. Block him. That boy.
3 wide behind them.
You got him, Mikey. You got him, man. You got him. Come on, man. Come on, baby. Come on. Get him in the 4. Get him in the 3 cars. Oh!
It's hard to watch when he was coming.
Behind them.
To the flag. Come on, Mikey. You got it, man. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. Mikey!
Michael Waltrip wins.
All right. That's a dream come true.
Darrell, is this better than winning it?
No, it's better. This is great. I just hope Dale will carry him.
Which is even sadder, right? I mean, the guy finally wins, and yet I'm sure everybody remembers it for like Earnhardt dying, rather than like him winning it after so long.
Yes, he's all right, isn't he?
Kenny, let me ask you, I know you've been thrown this question several times and you're just getting out of the care center, but you made your way over to Dale's situation. What's going on there?
I don't really know. I'm not a doctor. I mean, I got the heck out of the way as soon as they got there.
While Earnhardt's driver Michael Waltrip celebrates, Dale Earnhardt rides the back of an ambulance to the Halifax Medical
He was dead
Center.
instantly, I think.
Of Daytona.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make. But after the accident in turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
To this day, it's impossible to find the
Rest in
words
peace.
that'll properly describe a tragedy of this magnitude. A sobering reminder that none of us, no matter how transcendent, are truly invulnerable. But more so than that, it was the cruel release of a buildup that had been happening for some time. Dale wasn't the first, far from it. He was an addition to a long list of ambitious...
But I think it was the last, right? In another video I had seen, like so far this part I know. In another video I had seen, yeah, I think it was the last death in NASCAR, because then they went crazy in safety measure, right?
promising lives taken way too soon.
Which is obviously sad that it takes like a celebrity dying to finally make the improvements, and all the lesser known driver, it was just, you know, not enough.
Some old, some young, some accomplished veterans, and others just getting their start. The risk of racing had always been known, but never had it hit so hard, so fast, and in such an unassuming way. Strides in safety were supposed to keep these kinds of things from happening. In fact, it was those very strides that had saved Dale's life countless times before, and Tony Stewart's life just 30 laps earlier. It just didn't look that bad, but sometimes things are worse on the inside than they might appear on the outside. And inside that good wrench number 3, Dale went out on his own terms. No one more than him appreciated what it took to win this race, and 3 years after he had finally realized it for himself, he spent his final moments making sure that his friend and his son could realize it too.
Makes you want to cry.
The date is February 26th, 2001, and the sport is reeling, trying to make sense of its single greatest loss, but begrudgingly pushes on to the next race on a rainy day in Rockingham. In stark contrast to the week before, people enter the track in mourning. Instead of bringing programs and scanners, fans arrive with flowers and pictures as a dark cloud looms, drizzling rain and setting the tone for what was sure to be a difficult race to endure. In the pre-race ceremony, Darrell Waltrip gives the opening invocation, the crews hanging their heads low, number 3 hats in hand, and the fans joining arm in arm, all united in their grief. After the national anthem and the world's most famous words in motorsports, the cars finally roll off the grid and take the green flag. And for a split second, the world returns to at least some semblance of normalcy. Then they got to turn 4.
Oh, we got trouble already. 3 cars, 4 cars. Dale Jr. And it is Earnhardt Jr.'s car who comes to rest against the outside wall at turn 4.
This cannot be happening to that young man.
And from the last lap of last Sunday to the first lap of this.
This was demoralizing. The one guy everyone was rooting for getting taken out on lap 1, and in such a similar fashion to his own father the week before. The track falls quiet on lap number 3. What was supposed to be a showing of respect, but would instead see stunned silence as Dale Jr.'s wrecked number 8 is sent to the truck for a long journey home. Fittingly, that dark cloud continued to loom, and with another round of rain came a postponement to the next day. For many, this was a much-needed chance to reset from all the doom and gloom, and with the rising sun came a new hope for the Earnhardt Incorporated team. Of all his teammates, he was far and away the least popular, but Steve Park had taken an unassuming role as the elder statesman. Since 1997, Dale had built much of the team around Park, with him intending to serve as their lone Cup Series driver for the first 3 seasons. In 1998, however, after a horrifying crash that left Steve with multiple injuries, it was Darrell Waltrip who would step in and show the young kid what his equipment could do. And just 2 years later, he would rise to the standard and capture his first Cup win at Watkins Glen.
Very nice.
6 months later, he's showing similar speed, but for most of the day, he's taking fire from the flames of Jeff Gordon. That is until the defending champ, Bobby Labonte, came to life in the final stages. From 2 seconds back, he spent the last 15 laps eating away at Park's lead, and come 3 to go, he was right on his bumper. But as they say, it's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him. And Park put on a defensive masterclass, guarding the bottom lane and using every inch of real estate he possibly could. If given another lap, this could have ended very differently, but by all accounts, Steve...
In NASCAR, you know, not that I've really watched, I've never even watched a full race, but in this kind of video that we've watched, in NASCAR it seems a lot more intense when someone is like trying to prevent someone from passing, while in some of the other like racing sports we've watched, where like, I guess, you know, you're not really allowed to bump someone and push them out of the way and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess it's a lot more subtle, whatever they're doing to prevent someone, but yeah, it's like, yeah, really just pushing someone against the wall and really trying to not let them pass, which again is kind of what's interesting about NASCAR. I mean, it feels like people play video games basically. Like if I were to play a racing game, that's what I would try to do if someone tried to pass me. Yeah.
Steve Park, for his team, for his family, and for his boss looking on from above, drove the race of his life.
Park has the run off the high side. He clears the body, and Steve Park scores the 2nd straight win for Earnhardt Incorporated and the 2nd win of his career. Man, what
Very nice.
Nothing could ever fill the void that Earnhardt left behind, but damn if this wasn't one of the best remedies the sport could possibly ask for. And as the season carried on, so too did the healing process, propped up by another big win just a couple weeks later. The date is March 11th, 2001, and while the loss from February is still fresh in everyone's minds, a few weeks of racing have served as consolation that NASCAR, despite lacking its idol, would be able to carry on. The future was less certain for Dale's team, not the one that he owned, but the one that he drove for. For nearly 2 decades, he had been the face of Richard Childress Racing, and without him, they had lost their compass, their northern star that had led them to the promised land many times over. Richard Childress himself was practically a brother to Dale, and if it weren't for sponsorship obligations and the well-being of his team, he wouldn't even dream of replacing him. But the show had to go on. A replacement was needed, and Richard decided to keep it in-house, signing a fiery young hotshot he already had waiting in the wings. To kick off their Busch Series program in the year before, RCR signed 24-year-old Kevin Harvick to drive the AC Delco No. 2, and he lit up the charts in his rookie season by winning 3 races and finishing 3rd in points. A spot in the Cup Series was all but assured, but they still had a championship to chase, so in 2001 the plan was to give him another full season in the Busch Series and select starts driving the AOL No. 30. Daytona, however, would push him into the deep end, as young Kevin would suddenly be taking the helm of Richard's iconic flagship car, now painted in white and donning a number 29. This was already a turbulent time for the youngster. Besides getting married around the same time, he had already committed to a full season of bush racing, which meant that in 2001, he'd have to run at least 68 NASCAR races, most of which came on back-to-back days. It would be a tall task for even the greatest to take, but Kevin was up to the challenge, and he proved it in his first few starts. Rockingham could have gone better, but 14th in your first Cup start is nothing to scoff at, and he would take his first top 10 the following week in Vegas, where Jeff Gordon would pick up his first of many wins on the year. For the fans, it was hard to get used to, seeing anyone but the man in black don those colors, but performance-wise, Kevin fit right in. It might not have been the situation he had planned on, but he sure was making the most of it, and that brings us back to today, the Cracker Barrel 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. As was the case with the previous two races, the opening laps would see an incident.
What I know about Cracker Barrel is the Brad wife meme. That's all I know about that.
That would put a damper on the lap 3 salute. And once the green flag flew once again, the top two contenders would emerge as Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon. They would immediately stretch it out over the rest of the field, though after an early bobble by Harv, Gordo would take the point and lead his first of over 100 laps on the day.
He's passing so fast.
Favorite, but in the closing stages, both he and Harvick found themselves trapped in a dogfight with 3 other cars. And what would ensue has to be one of the greatest examples of why people are so nostalgic for prime NASCAR.
3 wide at the line. Harvick the leader. Harvick eased it into 3 to get a good run off forward and got him the lead.
They lined up well.
Look at them. They're all over the place, high, low, and in the middle. And Harvick clears Nadu for the lead.
As they already did almost 3 hours ago, the 29 and 24 would scoot away from the field. Only this time, Harvick was ready for it. He could have tried to block the bottom line again, but instead he would switch things up, taking the longer way around but also conserving his momentum for the straightaways. As the white flag waves, Gordon is right in his tire tracks, even manages to pull alongside him. But Harvick would use the outside to his advantage one last time, and the two would go wheel to wheel all the way to the line.
Just like a year ago, he's going to get him, though. He's going to get him. Gordon got loose. It's Harvick. Harvick by inches. Harvick by inches.
It's crazy they were so
close.
close.
The impossible task of taking over for a legend, Kevin Harvick did something that not even that legend could do. He won in just his 3rd Cup start. And just like the year before, the GM Good Wrench car would beat that year's champion by mere inches. For RCR, this was the ultimate form of redemption, not just because they were back in victory lane, but because they had found their future, a young man turned leader that would add to the team's legacy for years to come. And for the fans, it was perfect. The best race of the year ending in the best way possible. A better finish was almost inconceivable, but thankfully for our story, there was one more
I was gonna say, like, there's still his son.
Tribute to be made. At this point, every one of Dale's successors, from his friend to his driver to his replacement, had all found their own slice of solace. Well, all except for Dale Jr., who, while still as stout as ever, just couldn't seem to put it all together for a return to victory lane. As the summer drew closer, so too did a return to Daytona, and when the sport rolled into the site of its greatest tragedy...
I actually remember, like, years ago I used to watch the Joe Rogan podcast, mostly like the one about like other like athletes or like historians and stuff like that. They were pretty interesting, and even though I didn't really know the story at the time, he had Earnhardt Jr. on it. I think it was after he retired or something, and you know, I didn't really have the context back then when I listened to the podcast, but it was pretty interesting. Yeah.
All eyes laid upon one man. The date is July 7th, 2001. While an entire half season's worth of racing has helped to ease the pain, the return brings back all of the emotions. All the confusion, the shock, the sorrow, it's all fresh in everyone's minds. But this race was inevitable. We all have to face our demons at some point in time, and Dale Jr., who had arrived at the track a few days earlier, ensured he was ready for the hardest race of his life.
We drove over to turn 4 where Dad crashed and stopped, and I just got out, walked around a little bit, and just needed to stand there. I just wanted to get there and check it out and, you know, make my peace with it or whatever.
With 2 wins in his rookie season the year before and 2 consecutive Busch Series championships before that, Junior was destined to become his father's successor, if not as a competitor, then as an ambassador. He had been around the sport for all his life, so it seemed only fitting that he should carry the torch going forward. But little did he know just how soon that torch would be passed to him. Instead of seeking praise through imitation, however, Dale would find admiration by doing the opposite. He was his own man, and just like his father before him, he gained unanimous support from NASCAR's fan base just by being himself. And heading into Daytona, everybody wanted to see that white number 8. Well, all except for the 42 other teams in contention, but there wasn't much they could do. After Dale made the pass on his father's old ride, he would go on to lead 116 laps of 160, over 70% of the race. He controlled the pace. It was his race to lose. But after a wreck during a pit cycle with less than 20 to go, it looked like it could happen. He was shuffled back to 8th place, though because of the rules regarding lapped cars at the time, he would have to pass 13 cars in just 11 laps. Thankfully, another caution would take those lapped cars out of the equation. Half the cars to pass, but also half the number of laps. Still a very tall order. The race would restart once again with 6 laps to go, and at this point, all of the cameras were trained on Dale Jr. He might not be running the show, but Junior's been wicked fast all night. They all know what this race means to him, and in a similar vein to his father in the fall before, Dale makes short work of his competitors. He starts by forcing Stewart wide, then follows Jeremy Mayfield to get by Ken Schrader. Then, on the exit of 4, he swings to the outside to make the pass, and with help from Mike Wallace, carries that momentum all the way around the track. Race leader Johnny Benson attempts to block the run, but is helpless to stop the white blur that flies by.
To the outside for the lead in turn 4. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rockets to the front at Daytona. Listen to the crowd.
It might not have been 18th to first, but man, it was something. And despite a formidable attack
by
the Giants tandem, Junior would hold them at bay. As the field takes the white flag, you can barely hear them over the screams of over 100,000 fans who, just as much as they were cheering on Dale, were also cheering for Michael Waltrip. He had restarted back in 14th, yet somehow threaded enough needles to make his way to 2nd. He never got a chance to celebrate his big win in the 500, so to repay the favor from February, he would push his teammate to the win. The most important win in NASCAR history.
Michael Waltrip in 2nd, but it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st.
He gave back. He basically gave back what was done for him. Blocking the field so someone else can win.
6th to 1st in the final 6 laps.
Yeah, that's just so cool. Storybook ending.
They have class.
Healing is hard. It can't be defined through any single process, and the outcome is never certain. We all want to be the happiest we can, but life has a way of testing us, pushing us, keeping us privy to the fact that none of us are invulnerable. It's a reality that no one ever wants to face, but with enough support, strength, and spirit can be tackled head-on, can inspire moments that bind us all together in sadness and celebration. The void left by the black number 3 will never be filled, which is why no one ever tried to. Instead, the entire sport banded together to honor his memory and add to his legacy. In fact, the greatest contributions to that legacy came after he was gone, carried by a friend seizing his chance, a protege honoring his mentor, a rookie shocking the world, and a son living up to his name. No one wanted to face the reality, but thanks to these great moments, we were able to. And the memory of Dale Earnhardt and what he left behind will never fade, as we continue to tell the greatest story in racing.
That's beautiful. That's cinema. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. I mean, yeah. I knew the beginning, obviously, like, up to when he dies. But yeah, there was a lot more to it. I mean, that's kind of amazing. Almost like, too perfect, right? Like, just, almost like a story, right? Like, all of the people in his team ending up doing amazing as well. But at the same time, it's also like, yeah, they were motivated to do amazing. Like, it's a special kind of motivation. So they really pulled it off. Great stuff, yeah. I love this kind of like narrative sport videos, They're really great. Just the emotional vibe of everything. It's pretty amazing. Great video. And rest in peace, Dale Earnhardt. Legend. Okay. Really enjoyed this one.